So this is a 28 years male who had come with a progressive increase in the pain since last 8 years. And when he came to us, he had a complete absence of movements of the hip, and he was getting out of the bed in a logwood fashion and not able to sit anywhere, not even in the commode, with severe restrictions of activity of daily living. No other joint pains were there, non-diabetic, non-hypertensive. The catch here is a morbid obesity, BMI 37.9, 172 centimeters, weight is 110 kilos. And he is a known case of ankylosing spondylitis. On the left side, you see the X-rays AP and lateral view. And there was a jog of movements in the hip. Abduction, it was an abduction deformity of 20 degrees each side. So it was almost as if he was walking wide with a fixed hip. As usual, we did a pre-operative assessment. This is very important for the young surgeons that we need to find where our hip center is. And I tell my residents who are sitting out here also that you have to find it, you have to mark it before I enter the OT and I cross-check it. So in that case, So first important morning we had session that pelvic obliquity is very important, and we do in ankylosing spondylitis is very important that we look into it because usually is in hyperextension and there is a posterior APP angle is more than sometimes more than 10 to 50, but average is 10 degrees, acceptable up to 7 degrees. This patient had 7 degrees of APP angle, and if you understand that every 0.7 increase in the anteversion for each degree of posterior PT. So that is very important. If how much angle you are finding it, if it is 7 degrees, that means around 5 degrees of posterior slope is there, so you have to adjust the anteversion accordingly. We don't do in ankylosing spondylitis. It was not possible to position him laterally because I do most of my hips anterolateral. So this patient was done in one stage procedure within 3 days because he was morbid obesity. Second point that Rajesh has not mentioned, that it's a contraindication for doing it in morbid obesities. If you do bilateral hips in one stage, the chances of pulmoembolism and other complications are very high. So I usually avoid in morbid, otherwise I do bilateral hips and through anterolateral approach. And finally, I found my hip centers on both the sides. And after 3 months, this patient was done recently. After 3 or 4 months, the patient is walking very well. And if you look at the video, how to play it? Look at the obesity that he has still, but he has lost around 15 kilos, he says. But he is very comfortable working in the office and driving car. So another case of avian, here also I stress on to the young surgeons that you have to find your hip center and plan accordingly. You don't need any robotics or anything to do, find the hip center. Very simple, run-over triangle will help you out. How much of reaming you want to do, you can do from your line drawings. How much of shortening you want to correct, you can do. You can find your offsets on the line drawing. I usually don't do templating because I don't think 70% of surgeons do templating. Some might lie that they do it, but in conference we say we do templating, but I don't do templating. Because the software has to be there, I don't have the software, and putting the images on the X-rays, I don't think it's going to be a good idea. So bilateral avian, same procedures. This is one more case. This was done in way back in 2013, and after 11 years, the patient still, because we found our abduction arm and the offsets perfectly all right, and the cup reaming was perfect, this patient do lie. So this is very important message for the young guys that we need to put our hips in the right perspective. This is an interesting case, and again for the message for the young guys that they see only one part of the patient, they didn't see the other part. The patient had come to me after 3 weeks of injury with a limb lying in external rotation, and the surgeon in the heels, they put a nail inside, retrograde nail, thinking that it's a simple fracture femur, and left him alone with a sciatic nerve palsy. So presented with shortening external rotation attitude with foot drop after 3 weeks. Diagnosis was missed. He had a fracture acetabulum of the posterior wall and posterior column, and the head was lying on the back, though it looks like it's in the acetabulum, but in the pelvis, but it was lying way back behind the sacrum. And so we did a posterior, usually I'm an anterolateral approach, but again a lesson to the youngsters that we need to do both the approaches, and we need to know how to fix an acetabulum. Now that is, you don't become a hip surgeon. And we did a posterior wall and posterior fixation and column fixation, and then we put total hip replacement. Here I used a Methastem because the nail was already in and it was only 3 weeks, so I didn't remove it. I lost the patient to follow, but how was because he's from the hills and no way I can communicate with him. This is another interesting case, that fracture acetabulum case, where the primary surgeon, someone else, did a complete fixation of the pelvis and the acetabulum, trying to fix everything that is possible, and he did a primary total hip replacement in this situation where there was a lot of bone loss and lot of instability with column fractures. I don't think it's a good idea to do a total hip replacement. What's the hurry? Because acetabulum fracture, pelvis fracture causes a lot of bleeding in the situation, as it is the patient is in shock. So it is better to do in stage procedure. The surgeon did it. After 6 weeks, he told him, we can bear weight, and this is the situation. He is a GM of the our Jindal Steels, and now after this was done way back in 2008. So he came with this. The whole cup is displaced. So I did a trabecular metal cup with a cemented cup inside, trabecular metal revision cup, and fixed it up with few screws, and retain the implants as much as possible, remove the other implants. And 5 years, this is at the age of 16 years, this is a follow-up. The patient is still coming, happy, but he's got a little bit of shortening, which he has accepted. So to put in my words that I'm going to do a Narayana hip basic course, because I work with Narayana Healthcare, Bangalore based, on 15th and 16th, but Rajesh had told me under the aegis of Delhi Orthopaedic as a newly formed, he has told that do it better on 20th, 21st. So 21st and 22nd of February. So you are all welcome to attend it, where it will be a basic course like Dr. Gulati did it, basic knee course, where we will be discussing with international faculty as well as the national faculty as well as Delhi faculty about the basic problems that we face, and it will be a basic course and basic hip, because don't want to get into, all of us don't have robotics. I have robotic but don't have the hip software in it. These are the few more cases, because of the shortage of time I won't be telling, but these are the acetabular fractures, and this is an acetabulum fracture with almost ankylosed fused hip. Again, we did that with the bone grafting, and the graft of most important thing when you do a structural grafting is that you have to make the raw both surfaces and put the graft in and fix it temporarily with the K-wires or hold it there with the temporary screws, ream the graft, and it should have a cancellous bone on both the sides then only, because there are a lot of complications reported. Literature also shown that the graft absorption is very high. So this is one. Then we have this type of patients where the patient had doctors in the periphery have attempted total hip replacement in a case of acetabulum fracture, and this is what has happened. So the patient came to us, we did wait for a few times because he had an infection got controlled, we did it. So these are the few cases which I wanted to stress, and please attend our course on February 21st and 22nd.
Thank you, Dr. Murthy. Thank you very much.